defeating the Chinese Communist Party. The thing we need to wake up to is that we now, unlike the USSR, face an enemy that supplies the phones in our pocket and the shoes on our feet, that powers our modern way of life. And we cannot defeat an enemy that we depend on for supplying the way we live our lives. We have to wake up to new dogmas to be able to scale that challenge. And here's the thing. In China, economic policy and military policy are two sides of the same coin. We need to abandon the false dualism on our side of the Pacific as well. Talked about semiconductors in that last speech. Well, it turns out that we have a semiconductor shortage now. Guess what's going to happen the moment that China invades Taiwan? That then becomes an existential crisis for our ability to use the phones or laptops on your tables, to the water the refrigerator that kept your water cold before it's on your table. That's what's at risk. What we need to do in this country is to restore semiconductor self-sufficiency by producing those advanced chips here at home, rather than relying on a tiny island off the coast of China in the South China Sea. It is a shame that we ever got to the place where we relied on living the lives the way we do, reliant on a small island nation that's vulnerable to invasion by our sworn archenemy, at least how they look at it in China. But we are where we are, and the right answer now is to do what we're already taking steps towards doing, towards bringing that semiconductor production back here at home and vigorously defending Taiwan in the meantime. But that is just one example of a new reality we're going to have to wake up to across our economy. Let's move to the energy sector away from semiconductors. The number one weapon that actually China wields over the United States right now is none other than that global climate religion that shackles the U.S. economy without laying a finger on the Chinese economy. And there's a reason why. This problem actually runs deep. Back to that theme of ESG. BlackRock, the world's largest financial institution, a U.S. asset manager, uses your money, our money, to force U.S. companies, oil companies like Chevron and Exxon, to produce less oil. Yet, you might ask yourself, are those same projects proceeding, or did they actually stop in the name of fighting global climate change? It turns out that many of those projects are still proceeding, just under new ownership. And those new owners include firms like PetroChina, which just a couple of years ago bought one of those projects that Chevron dropped in the Sichuan province of China. And then you ask yourself, who's one of the largest shareholders of PetroChina? Turns out it is none other than BlackRock, using now Chinese money to actually own that Chinese company, but without applying the same emissions cap or anti-production mandate. This is a farce, but it is a farce that we need to wake up to no longer as just an economic issue, but as a national security issue in our country too, and to be prepared to treat it as such.